Hello, hello. So I'm back. I've been off the grid a little bit. I've been working on a few things. I had some commercial work come up, which is a great thing, and have been thinking about all of the talks I've been having about the creative journey and how things can change on a dime. Last week I was working on a project that I haven't started talking about yet, and also doing some writing, but then I get a call in the middle of the week and I ended up having to come to work on some commercial work, which I think went really well, and happy to do it. Excited to show it to you guys when it is edited and up, but wanted to just speak about, or go back to when I was speaking about the 50,000 miles out. You know, people are always like, when we were in strike, people looking for jobs and trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And you realize after a certain point, you've been an artist for so long that it's very hard to, get people to realize that you can still do other things. But maybe part of it is that you're going through the crisis of faith that you don't necessarily want to give up on the dream because there's so much invested. And that's when the 50,000 miles out comes in. When you're like, I've done all of these things. I've, put the work in. I've made the connections. I have the relationships. And it's just about working those particular things. So I think that when, as an artist, you become aware that, you might want to pivot. Pivoting doesn't necessarily mean making a complete life change, but it could be just going about things differently, because you realize that you've invested so much, and maybe it's a different approach, maybe it's a different connection, maybe it's a different outreach, maybe it's a different focus for now. So where I may work narrative is, for those that don't know, TV and film projects. I also work commercial. So right now, while I'm waiting for the narrative world to come calling again, commercials are a great way to keep flexing my muscles. They pay well. They're definitely a different beast, but it's part of what I'm talking about when I'm saying to follow the muse. And that is, this week it may be working on my speaker deck and getting speaking gigs. Next week it might be working on doing some writing and strategizing. The week after that, maybe it's a commercial. The week after that, maybe it's, I get called to do interviews for film. So it always is something different, but having that flexibility and the mindset that it may look different, but it's all building upon something. And it leads me to think about legacy and what I want to leave behind when it comes to my work. So I think that's something that I've been contemplating a lot more. Next, I want to talk about, some of the things that, I think that legacy entails and how I have begun to think about it. And hopefully it'll be something that is, just something to jigger the mind space for others. I wanted to get on here. I want to get on here and talk today because I haven't in a minute, but I'll come back and share more in a couple of days since I feel like I can come up for air. All right, talk soon.